Bring the lights down low, time to start the show. Lights, camera, you know what we mean. Behold the magic of the silver screen. Some movies rock, some movies shock. They're powerful or odd. We cover them all on your favorite pod. They're dramatic, funny, sometimes scary. That's not weird, that's extraordinary. I got the need and I've got a fever. So play me a little dream weaver. Life moves pretty fast. Some will fizzle and some movies last. I understood there would be no last. It's the 30-something movie podcast. Be excellent to each other. Peace out and word to your mother. They're from the best decades. Movie magic that never fades. Lightsabers clash, phaser set to stun. Action-packed from dusk till dawn. We have deep thoughts and questions three. Come share our love of the movies we see. Life moves pretty fast. Some will fizzle and some movies last. I understood there would be no math. It's the 30-something movie podcast.
Oh, it's the 30-something movie podcast, all right. And we're here at the end of our pre-prequel parts month. It's easy for you to say 3 times real fast. But Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled pre-prequel parts, and we ended it with Samuel L. Jackson and A Time to Kill.
Whoop, whoop.
Yeah. I should have thrown in, there's a couple other people in this movie, like Oliver Platt. There was another P that I could have thrown in there, but yeah. Yeah. A lot of choices. A lot of choices are made. A lot of choices not made. And sometimes it's the choices we don't make that allow us to continue to podcast, because then we don't get canceled.
Mm-hmm.
As far as I know. This one's about Fletch, as far as you know. Gentlemen, how are we doing?
We are hanging in there, John. How about yourself?
Doing fine.
Well,
doing fine. We're gonna pull back the curtain for just a moment, so hopefully everybody's.
Geez, John, you got to warn people.
I was gonna say, hopefully everybody's decent, or as decent as we can be. We are recording this. This is a bit of our dilemma. We are recording this on the same night that we are recording our episode for Jingle All the Way. So this is the challenge of when sometimes our movies kind of match up for the recording schedule and whatnot, to go from let's talk about Jingle All the Way to let's talk about A Time to Kill. So, I mean, both movies about, dads frantic to make something up to their children, carried out in very different ways.
Yeah, well, I don't know, man. Now for something completely different.
Do you think I deserve to get that toy? Yes, I deserve to get that toy, and I hope they burn in hell. I don't know. That line was not in Jingle All the Way, by the way, just before somebody goes to try to Google it, it's not there. So this one, I do want to preface this one a bit. I mean, we always do our typical spoiler alert. It's like if we spoil, we mention a movie, just hit skip a couple times, and then we'll have moved past it. Make sure you visit our website, 30podcast.com, all those good things. I do want to preface this one as well. I feel like we'll take a step back into remember, last month when we had the Definitely Not for Kids month, the themes of this movie are kind of along the same lines. So there is subject material in this movie that is definitely not for children. So if you are listening to this in the car with your kids or anything like that, with our language and whatnot, we tend to try to keep things family friendly, but there's no getting around what this movie is about. And so we're just throwing that out there up front is you may want to, if you typically listen to our podcast with your kids and your family in the car, this is probably not what you want playing in the school drop-off line first thing in the morning. So maybe this is an earbud episode as you're jogging or mowing your lawn or whatever. Yeah. So it is what it is. All right. Well, we're going to jump right on in this one. This one came out on July 24th, 1996, rated R for many reasons. Runtime was 2 hours and 29 minutes, directed by Joel. I would love to bash your favorite Batman character in the head until he's bleeding and dying and concussed on the ground, Schumacher. And so,
wow,
really
okay.
long nickname.
Yeah.
That's the most shocking thing about that nickname is how long it is.
Yeah.
That was the shocking part.
Yes.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sure.
Clearly you have some feelings about this, John.
Maybe a little bit. Mostly just Batman and Robin. But he also did. There were good things he did. So he did The Lost Boys and The Client. Writer for this one was Akiva Goldsman, who did A Beautiful Mind and Cinderella Man. Producer was Arnon Milchan, who did Fight Club and The Revenant. Composer was Elliot Goldenthal, who did Frida and Interview with the Vampire. Cinematographer was Peter Menzies Jr., who did Die Hard with a Vengeance and The Incredible Hulk. Editor was William Steinkamp, who did Tootsie and Out of Africa. Production company is Regency Enterprises. Budget is $40 million. Box office is $152.3 million. Flickmetrics gives it a 69%, and CinemaScore gives it an A.
Okay.
Okay, so here is the cast. Matthew McConaughey, who is all right. He is Jake Brigance. He was in Interstellar and Dallas Buyers Club. Sandra Bullock plays Ellen Rourke. She was in Gravity and Speed. Samuel Jackson plays Carl Lee Haley. He was in Pulp Fiction and The Hateful Eight. Kevin Spacey is D.A. Rufus Buckley. He was in The Usual Suspects and American Beauty. Donald Sutherland, who passed in 2024, was Lucian Wilbanks. He was in Ordinary People and The Hunger Games. Kiefer Sutherland was Freddie Lee Cobb. He was in The Lost Boys and Flatliners. Ashley Judd was Carla Brigance. She was in Double Jeopardy and Heat. Oliver Platt was amazing as Harry Rex Vonner. He was in The Three Musketeers and Chef. Charles S. Dutton was Sheriff Ozzie Walls. He was in Alien 3. Love that movie. And Rudy. Brenda, I had to. Brenda Fricker was Ethel Twitty. She was in My Left Foot and Home Alone 2 Lost in New York. Patrick McGowan was Judge, who passed in 2009. He was Judge Omar Noose. Possibly the greatest judge name, especially a Southern judge name you could ever come up with. Judge Noose. He was in Braveheart and Escape from Alcatraz. Chris Cooper was Deputy Dwayne Looney. We see him once again in the role of a police officer for the second time this year. He was in Adaptation, American Beauty, and Lone Star. That's the one we saw him in. Nicky Katt, who passed in 2025, played Billy Ray Cobb. He was in Dazed and Confused and Boiler Room. Doug Hutchison was Pete Willard. He was in The Green Mile and The Salton Sea. And Kurtwood Smith plays Stump Sisson. He was in RoboCop and Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country. Real quick, Matthew McConaughey was originally considered for the role of the villain, Freddie Lee Cobb, in this one. However, after his screen test, he convinced the director to cast him as the lead, Jake Brigance. Okay. John Grisham had contractual casting approval for this one and personally chose Matthew McConaughey over some other big names. Originally, they wanted Woody Harrelson to be the lead in this, and one of the other things I saw was they were looking at Val Kilmer to play the lead.
Mm-hmm. I heard something that he and Matthew McConaughey are like friends. And even there was something that came out that they think they might even be like related.
Yeah, they've never
maybe like
they've never proved it, but there's a small chance apparently. And the fact that they've said it out loud makes me think maybe they've proved it and they just don't want to tell anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And wasn't like Woody Harrelson's father supposedly involved in the Kennedy assassination? And
yeah, there was something like that.
Yeah.
There's some weird stuff around that dude. That much I will say.
And I also want to say too that Kevin Costner was supposed to be some role in this movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but were you getting to that, John? Did I steal your thunder?
No, that was just one of the other names I think that was up for the lead. for Brigance. Yeah.
I guess one of the sticking points was that he wanted to have creative control, like complete control of the movie.
Sure. Yeah.
And they were like, yeah, well, no.
Yeah, it's not happening.
So I find that whole thing interesting. But wasn't that on Waterworld? Didn't that come up? Didn't he have control, or he wanted control, or there was something?
Yeah.
Where, and I know that was kind of a sticking point in Yellowstone too.
Yeah.
Partly why he left.
Yeah. Sometimes maybe some people should not have complete creative control.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I did not know that about Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson being potentially related. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
There you go. And the whole thing with his father, this is the third DNA test on the grassy knoll.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is one of the few times that Donald Sutherland and Kiefer Sutherland appear in the same movie, though they don't share any scenes with each other at all.
Yeah.
And then there is, I believe, as a nurse, the future Oscar winner Octavia Spencer has a small role in the film. As a nurse, she would later star in another civil rights era drama, The Help.
She's incredible in that.
Yeah. All right. Real quick, we'll give you kind of a quick synopsis for this one. We'll play the trailer audio. We'll dive into some major moments, then we'll get into our discussion. In a town divided by hate, one man takes the law into his own hands because he is the law. Now, Jake Brigance must defend Carl Lee Haley against a system rigged to fail him. With the help of a young genius college student played by Sandra Bullock, they will face the perils of the courtroom and the fires of the Klan to find the truth. In a world of black and white, justice is never simple.
You got a daughter, Jake. What would you do? I figure there's a lot of people out there tired of all the raping, killing. They'd be sympathetic to a man who took the law in his own hand. Even if he is black.
Our society cannot condone men who take the law into their own hands, no matter what the circumstance.
How do you wish to plead? Not guilty, Your Honor. Yeah, you sure you want to be known as the man that defended that murderer? Why toss away a promising career?
I'd really like to help you with the trial. You ever seen a man executed? What I suggest you do is you go watch a man be executed. You watch him die. You watch him beg.
I don't like your politics, but you do have passion, and that's something Carl Lee needs right now, and maybe so do I.
If you was on that jury, what would it take to set me free?
You sat me down, and you said to me, what I can offer you is a chance to save the world one case at a time.
He's taking justice out of your hands and put it in his own.
You tell them boys we need some Klan down here in camp.
We've been getting calls at home, threats.
Your marriage is on the rocks. You're about to have an affair.
Lately, you've become much more interested in getting your face on the news than what's going on with your own family.
Don't let those bastards grind you down.
I set out to prove a black man could receive a fair trial. That's not the truth. So until that day, we have a duty to seek the truth, not with our mind, but with our hearts.
Do you think he was crazy when he did it?
No, he wasn't crazy.
When I saw that blood, I got so scared because I thought that was you.
Drop the case.
I quit now, and all this for nothing. No.
You waged all our lives on this.
Do you think the jury should convict Carl Lee Haley?
Objection! Turn him loose! Do you think they deserve to die, Mr. Haley?
Honor.
Answer the question.
Carly,
Did
don't
they
answer
deserve
that
to
question.
die? Yes, they deserve to die, and I hope they burn in hell!
All right, our 10 major moments to give you like a quick overview of the movie. We start off, and again, one more time, we just want to reiterate the subject matter of this movie is really best suited for adults only. And if anything about anybody being assaulted or anything like that is something that you don't want to listen to, you may want to skip over this part as well. So we're gonna spend too much time on it, but it is part of the plot of the movie. In fact, it is the catalyst of why all the stuff is happening in this movie. So here it is. At the beginning of the movie, 10-year-old Tanya Haley is abducted, raped, and beaten by white supremacists Billy Ray Cobb and Pete Willard, who unsuccessfully attempt to hang her before dumping her in a river. Believing the rapist will walk free, Carl Lee Haley, her father, opens fire at the courthouse with an automatic rifle, killing both men, but unintentionally wounding Deputy Dwayne Looney, played by Chris Cooper. Jake Brigance agrees to represent Carl Lee. They've known each other since they were kids. While DA Rufus Buckley, played by Kevin Spacey, seeks the death penalty, and Judge Noose ensures the trial proceeds with a likely all-white jury. Freddie Lee Cobb enlists the Mississippi Ku Klux Klan and Grand Dragon Stump Sisson to intimidate the defense and ensure that Carl Lee's execution through a campaign of terror. A clash between KKK members and counter-protesters outside the courthouse erupts into a deadly riot that results in the death of the Klan's Grand Dragon. The Klan targets Jake's inner circle, leading to the death of his secretary's husband and a cross burning on his lawn that forces Jake to send his family away. The violence peaks when the Klan kidnaps and assaults law student Ellen Rourke and burns Jake's house to the ground in an attempt to force his withdrawal. This almost turns into a John Wick movie when they almost John Wick his dog too. So I was concerned about that part. Jake manages to discredit the state's psychiatrist, but Buckley retaliates by exposing the criminal past of the defense's expert, leading Jake to lose hope for an acquittal at this point. Then in the final plea, Jake describes Tanya's ordeal in graphic detail to the jury, famously asking them to imagine the victim was white to expose their inherent biases. And then finally, the jury finds Carl Lee not guilty, leading to his freedom and a celebratory cookout that signifies a bridge between the Brigance and Haley families. Those are our 10 major moments, and now it's time for our deeper thoughts.
And now, Deep Thoughts.
I have an opinion on this matter.
Don't mince words, Bones. What do you really think?
I like it a lot. Wow. It's very deep. Thank you.
All right. When was the first time you saw this movie?
This weekend.
It was also a first-time viewing for me.
Really?
Was it, Pat, had you seen this one before?
Yes.
Okay.
Not when it came out. I'd say maybe 28 or 27 years ago.
Okay.
But I need to ask, have you guys read the book?
I have not.
Or had you read? You have not?
I have not.
No.
Really? Wow.
Have you read the book?
Well, I'm going to put a sock in it. I'm going to let you guys talk. What did you, I'm sorry, did I cut across the question?
No, I just, have you read the book?
So I did.
Okay.
I read the book before I saw the movie, and I really kind of went like full in like Tom Clancy mode with John Grisham.
Okay.
I want to say that this book made the rounds. What year? Because the book came out, I think a number of years before. It.
Yeah, this one. What I did remember reading was this was his first book.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But the fourth movie of his.
Yeah.
It didn't get made right away. It sort of got made after they had done a few Grisham books as movies, and they said, "What else you got?"
Yeah. So it says here the book was originally published in 1989, so about 7 years before this.
Okay. So when I was in high school, middle school, like late middle school, high school, the book made the family rounds. I know my mom read it, and I remember she was really taken with it. And so I read it, and then the two of us discussed it a lot. And then I want to say there was a smattering of aunts and cousins and that had read the book. So we, there was a contingent in my family that we read this and discussed all the different parts of it and all that. And then I really went all in with John Grisham stuff. It was later that I actually saw his movies. And to be honest, this and The Firm I know I've seen. I don't know if I've seen that many of the other ones. Actually, there was whichever one where Danny DeVito played in. I've seen that one too. Because that was, I think I don't want to give too many spoilers, but he was like the perfect character for or casting for the character he played. But I read all the John Grisham books, at least all the ones at the time. I really like all the John Grisham books.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like Clancy with where it's like the Jack Ryan series. But like each book kind of, it's its own story, but there's some very common threads that you see woven throughout, you know, a lot in the South, a lot of the young lawyer standing up against the establishment, not only against the establishment is, you know, who he's kind of like going against in the courtroom, but like whoever the DA is, they've got the full weight of the government and the blah, 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 you know, behind them. I find that those are some common threads in the book. There's an innate kind of humor and humanity to the characters that come out. And I want to say that the characters are not, at least the main character, they're not very one-dimensional or two-dimensional. I think that, you know, they are morally complex, sometimes ambiguous characters. There's always some kind of like, you know, kind of lovable miscreants kind of in the cast as well. And, but what was interesting is this is the first book I read, but all his other books, well, very good. This one I think had the most in terms of like racial commentary and just raw emotional impact. I think this book had, whereas like the other ones are incredible. And like, you know, especially looking at the law in courtrooms and all that kind of thing. But I think my opinion and just kind of some of the, before we did this tonight, I kind of read to make sure I remembered it correctly. This book definitely has the most, well, like I said, the most emotional and moral impact. And obviously, you know, opening up with that absolutely just horrific, rape scene. I mean, there's no way to even, for me, I can't even put it in words.
Yeah.
But it, you know, it's kind of hard to get past that. So yeah, I read the book and then, maybe even a couple of times, but yeah, that was a big kind of book talk in the Canigallo house. And then later saw the movie.
Having read the books, have you read, I was reading that there are 2 sequels to A Time to Kill. Have you read those books?
I have not.
Okay.
I have not.
Okay. So supposedly I was reading up on this. It's the same character. So it's 3 books that feature the Jake Brigance character. So supposedly there was one published in 2013 called Sycamore Row.
Okay.
And another one was published in 2020 called A Time for Mercy.
Okay. I'd be interesting to see where, especially because he revisits it so many years after. I'd be curious to hear.
Yeah.
So, all right, but I'm just going to say it, man. Enough about me. Like, you guys, what's up?
Yeah. So, I mean, other than the really, really tough subject matter and the really just awful and graphic beginning of the movie, like, and that happens right away at the beginning of the movie. I'm like, oh, we're not pulling any punches here. We're getting right into it. And, you know, thankfully, visually, the way they chose to show everything was jarring, but it was also, you know, you're not, I don't want to say you're not seeing anything too graphic, but you're not, I guess it's more, I don't know. It seems like the camera work and the other stuff is done to where you don't really see anything that's happening, but you have a really good sense of what's happening from what's going on the screen. You know, the distortion of the image and the, you know, yeah, just absolutely awful. I mean, that kind of kicks you into high gear right there at the very beginning of the movie. And then one of my first thoughts is, as this movie is going on, I know we just, not that long ago, we just covered, actually earlier this month, we just covered Mars Attacks. And that was one of those movies where it's like you're watching this and there is just celebrity after celebrity after celebrity that is just crammed into that movie. I'm watching this one And I'm like, because I didn't know much about this movie. I had never seen it before. This is my first time watching it. So I'm jumping into this one, and all of a sudden you got Matthew McConaughey, you've got Samuel Jackson, Sandra Bullock is going to show up, Kevin Spacey is going to show up, Donald Sutherland, Kiefer Sutherland, Ashley Judd, Oliver Platt, Charles Dutton, Chris Cooper, and there's several others that are going to show up in this movie. And I'm just watching this, I'm going, holy crap. Like what was this must have been where the budget went, because apparently we've just grabbed every big name person. This is kind of like, it's kind of like when you see people post up those things, they're like, you have 50 fictional dollars and you can pick a character from each column. Here's your $1 column, and here's your $5 column, and here's your $10 column. Are you taking Iron Man and Doctor Strange for your team? Or are you taking I'm looking at this, I'm going, yeah, holy cow. This is an insane amount of big name people. And I don't even want to say people that are about to become big name, because they're not. They're all well established. They've been in some amazing things. I'm just like, holy cow. Yeah. So that's kind of my first response to it. And I think my second response to it is, it seems that the movie is really well done in terms of it being a courtroom thriller, like one of those legal thriller type movies. And I want to talk more about this in a little bit, but I feel like you're hitting the mid to late 90s. And I feel like the 90s is the decade of the legal thriller and the legal drama. And so there were a lot. This is it feels like this is like the peak. How in the last 15 years, it's been the superhero movie. I feel like the 90s were the legal thriller. Mm-hmm. And this is like the height of the legal thrillers, and just a ton of people in this movie. So that alone, I think that's one of the reasons I didn't see this. I think it's one of the reasons I didn't see it. I think that the overdose of legal dramas just sort of, nope. Right. It can get to a point where it's like, well, you've seen one cowboy movie. There's about 50 others that are coming out this year. Right. Yeah. And I think them being so close together, being so similar, I think it got a little too much. And I definitely had the same problem with medical drama TV shows. Yeah. Nope. I'm good. Well, even today, they've kind of gone back to the cop shows, the medical drama shows, and not only do you have the cop show, back in the day, it was the Law and Order, the NYPD Blue, all that other stuff, and now you've got to the point where it's we're just going to tack the name Chicago in front of it, right? And then we're going to have Chicago Police and Chicago Fire and Chicago Med and Chicago, I don't know, Neighborhood Watch or something.
Chicago Teachers.
Chicago Teachers.
Oh, there's an open casting.
Yeah. I'll see how that one goes over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the proverbial lead balloon.
Oh, the humanity. Yeah. It just, I mean, just almost an oversaturation. But just, I mean, the star power of this movie is probably the first thing that hits me as I'm watching it. Yeah. And a good story too. You can't have, you look at something like a Mars Attacks, and I know sometimes I look at that and I go, so many stars, sometimes doesn't feel like a great movie. But in this one, I look at this one and I go, so many stars, I don't think you can screw it up. I don't think you can put all these people together in this movie and have it turn out poorly.
No,
I'm not saying whether I think this is my, right. And I'm not saying I think this is, I haven't thought about it. I don't think this is my favorite courtroom drama type movie, but at the same time, I'm like, there's no way you can't lose. You might not be at the top of courtroom drama movies, but there's no way you can lose with this cast.
Right.
You're not scraping the bottom of the barrel with this stuff.
Right.
Yeah. So I really enjoyed it. Like just from that alone, just the cast that's in this, the performances that are in this, really, really enjoyed it. We were joking before we started recording. The sweat budget in this movie was astronomical.
It's like they had a mister on stage, like for every recording.
Mm-hmm.
I think, did you go through the trivia? Because I know we talked about it too.
We did a little bit of it, but this one we kind of might have skipped over.
Okay, because I know we talked about it, that I think that John Grisham made the joke that, does the director know we have air conditioners in the South?
Not in Southern courtrooms. I think in Southern courtrooms they require you not to have them.
Right.
Or when Ashley Judd or Sandra Bullock or I don't know, pick one, is involved, I think it's required that you douse the attractive women in sweat, and the attractive men as well, because Matthew McConaughey is also,
very sweaty.
Is that like when you have because I know some movies today have like the intimacy coordinator. Do you have the perspiration coordinator?
Yes.
On this movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like they had to.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's no other way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This is, this movie was like going through the produce section at the grocery store, and all of a sudden you hear the thunder and you know that the produce is about to get misted.
Or you hear the singing in the rain.
Yes.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah. This is, it's the most star power in a courtroom legal thriller and the sweatiest movie that we may have encountered on the 30-something podcast so far.
It easily could be.
In fact, do we start something new this episode?
The sweat index?
The sweaty awards.
Yeah.
Do we award the sweaties and pick the sweatiest movie?
Yeah.
I think we do.
I think that should happen.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Bo, you might have been the one to make this point earlier. So maybe the first sweaty goes to Ashley Judd, because you made the point earlier that like was that you, Bo, or was it you, Pat? Was one of you was telling me about Ashley Judd and how it kind of took you out of the movie a little bit, because was it from the neck down, everything was just covered in sweat, and then like from the neck up, it was like, no, I'm totally fine.
Yeah. And I just kind of, it's like, I get it. It's the movies and everyone still has to look fantastic.
Your hair has to look good.
If you're that sweaty, then, it's gotta show all the way. But hey,
You're saying her hair wouldn't have that perfect shape and bounce?
It's not my place to say either which way. I'm sure she has wonderful hair and all that, but I just, like I said, it was definitely shown to be sweaty, but then like faces and hair and all that kind of stuff was fine. Matthew McConaughey has a great head of hair. Same deal. You know what I'm saying? Like it never seemed like crazy frizzed out and all that kind of stuff when it was just sweaty. But I get what they were doing and all that. And
well, let's do this in honor of all the people, in honor of all the beautiful people, all the beautiful people that are in this movie, just sweating their butts off. This one's for you.
Dreamweaver.
Deserved.
I did say I think I told Bo this. I said when they light Jake Bergance's house on fire, all he needs to do is just take out his handkerchief and just wring it out over the fire, and it should be fine.
Ring it up.
Should be fine.
Done.
I'll say if I could just have my neighbors come in and bring their handkerchiefs, and we're going to be all right here.
Yeah.
That's the thing about the South down here is it keeps getting hotter, but these sweaty people stay the same. I don't even know where to go with that.
Yeah, but I think you took it to the right spot. You took it to the logical conclusion.
But what does it mean?
It means red-winged.
It means perspiration. Yeah, so super sweaty movie. Samuel Jackson is outstanding in this movie. I mean, he's outstanding in like everything he's ever done in his entire life, as far as I know. And I was reading in this that there were several scenes that got cut from this movie, and he actually is not happy about that. What I had read was there were some very emotional, like character building scenes that got cut from this movie, and he blames that for his not winning an Oscar for this movie.
Yeah.
I was like, well, that's unfortunate because it did an outstanding job in this. And if there was more to it that could have gotten him, you know, a potential award, then sure, I feel bad for the guy.
Right. Right. You see all your work end up on the cutting room floor. That's not easy.
Right.
Especially when it's emotional work like this had to have been, you know?
Yeah.
Sure. Yes.
I got it. There were a couple of moments that I had a little bit of a chuckle just from recognizing other actors from other things. There was the, oh gosh, I'm going to blank out on what her name is. Is it Beth Grant? Is it her? I think it's her. Yes, it is her. So Beth Grant plays the mother of the of Cobb, of Billy Ray Cobb, and Cora Mae Cobb, I think is her name. And where it took me out for just a moment when she shows up on the screen, because what I know her from best, and she's been in a ton of stuff, so I'm not saying like this is her thing, but she plays the mom of one of the like dance team members in Donnie Darko.
Okay.
And so I cannot see her face. And there's a scene where she's talking about her son and like pleading for her son's life or something. And the only thing I can see is I see her face and I'm like, I question your devotion to sparkle motion.
Oh God.
And I'm looking at her, I'm going, okay, that's not appropriate for this movie. Like this is not a humorous scene. I question your dedication to sparkle motion. Like that is not where we're at all in this. The other one that took me out just a little bit was Judge Noose. As much as I love the name, I'm looking at him and I'm like, Longshanks?
Yeah.
Okay. Like the Southern accent and like, ugh. I don't know if I mean, you're doing fine with it. You're doing a fine Southern accent. But at the same time, I'm like, I can't look at you and not see Edward Longshanks. So I'm struggling a bit with that one, but he was outstanding in this one too. I did have a moment where in the back of my mind, I wanted to have him say something like, you know, the trouble with the law is that it's full of lawyers. If we can't get them out, we'll disbar them out. But amazing group of people. And the fact that somebody like a Chris Cooper is just like he's a deputy that gets shot in the leg.
Yeah, he gets shot in the leg.
And that's his part.
Yeah.
It's pretty incredible deal. And I think it's interesting too, the questions that the story poses. And it's funny because, the book is different. I mean, I think it's one of the better adaptations of book to movie. And I was reading about it, and I think it's kind of put up there as like one of the really, really good adaptations. And like anything, you got to condense certain things and change certain things. But there's a lot more detail in the book. The characters overall are very much like they are in the book, but then there's some things that just are, there's some differences. Some of them are, well, you know what? I'm going to stop and be careful. You guys haven't read the book, so I don't want to spoil it all. How can I say this? There's some differences where the book will just go into more detail and describe kind of the why behind things are happening. They'll give you a little bit more of the moral conundrum. Do you know what I'm saying? Because they can really explore that. And it's interesting. I didn't know about the controversy that there was a lot of people that don't like the message of the book that, vigilante justice and killing is okay.
Sure.
Right. And I really like when Roark and Brigance are discussing the death penalty, and her reaction is kind of like, well, I thought you were a liberal like me. You're for the death penalty? Well, sure, because here's all the reasons. Well, your client could end up there. Yeah, but he doesn't deserve it. The difference is that some people do, and that discussion goes on throughout. I thought, how Samuel L. Jackson described, you're one of the bad guys. Don't try to be one of the good guys. You got to think like one of the bad guys. This is, and just really kind of adding to what we're still grappling with today, the discussion on race relations and, and I mean, that was so well said and well put in the movie. But then, how does that gel, for people that say, well, I just don't see color. Okay, well, that is problematic statement. But, again, there's just all these different viewpoints and things we're struggling with still up until today that need to be answered and dealt with and questioned. And I think the movie does a really good job of bringing those out. Right.
Yeah.
And then also, can you understand where he's coming from? But should that have an impact on the law?
Right.
And I think, again, I'm just going to say that the way they wrap things up and the way they make things in the movie, a little bit different than how they do it in the book. And there's some it's like anything, I don't want to spoil it, but the book will go into more detail and kind of get you thinking a lot more about like everything, including the final verdict.
Sure.
But, that is a good point that it was like, okay, well, yeah, yeah, it's hard. It's hard. And then you realize, he went and shot and almost killed and grievously wounded, a deputy, one of the good guys.
Yeah.
And you got to contend for that. So it's it really presents a lot of interesting things to think about.
Yeah.
I should reread the book.
Yeah, I don't know that I've ever. They may just feel so intimidating to me at this point. I don't think I've ever read a John Grisham book.
Maybe a 30-something movie podcast book discussion.
Maybe start a book club. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, during this time period, I mean, it's really between 93 and 97. Like John Grisham especially was, you basically, you might as well just start printing money when one of these movies is going to come out, because you've got The Firm, The Pelican Brief, The Client, it just, and then Time to Kill comes out, and it just is, like we talked about a little bit earlier in this episode, it's kind of the perfect time for this to happen. Like, people are getting interested in this kind of stuff. I think you can bring the O.J. Simpson trial into it. I think there's a lot of high profile trials that are happening at this time. People are kind of getting interested in it. I want to say, when did the Court TV network come out? Was that mid 90s?
Yeah.
I feel like with the O.J. Simpson trial, some of that stuff, like, it was piquing people's interest to really see like the legal side of things. I feel like I remember as a kid, what was that? The proceedings with Oliver North. I remember all that as a kid. Like, I remember even as a kid, I wasn't interested in any of this, but I remember my parents watching this stuff. So I'm wondering if from the late 80s, as we get into the 90s and we have the O.J. Simpson trial, we have a bunch of other high profile trials that are getting somewhat televised. The introduction of the Court TV, I think cable network. I'm curious as to when that started. I'm going to look it up really, really fast. Originally launched in 1991. So yeah, so it's right around this time. So the interest is there, and I think one of the other really kind of interesting things about this is then you can kind of up the stakes and you can up the ante of this, because once people have seen, and I know that they're fictionalized versions of courtrooms. This is not what a real courtroom is going to look like. But once you've had The Firm, The Pelican Brief, The Client, by the time we get A Time to Kill, you've had the O.J. Simpson trial, you've had Court TV, you've had all these other things that you can watch. Then all of a sudden, by the time you get to 1996, I feel like your average audience is knowledgeable about legal jargon, or at the very least, like a TV version or a movie version of legal jargon. Like, you know what jury selection is. You know what an attorney is going to do when they cross-examine somebody. You know that there's an insanity plea. Somebody in the, I'm assuming, somebody in the 70s, 80s, 60s, they don't have the same legal jargon literacy that somebody in the mid 90s does. And so that's why I think you can have this just cultural high point of trial movies and stuff like this. I think it's like the perfect storm for this to have been, released at the point it's released, for it to do well, for it to be, what it is, to have all these people. I would imagine that one of the reasons why these celebrities probably all said, yeah, I'll be a part of this movie, is I don't think at this point in time in the 90s, it's like, you can't lose. You're going to make money. It's probably why people would sign on for it's not going to do, a superhero movie is not going to do a whole lot for you in terms of trying to get you an Oscar, but it's definitely going to get you a well-established paycheck. And so I feel like that's maybe what the courtroom movie was in the 90s. It's, well, we can't lose. I'm going to be in this movie. If it's a good movie, if I get an Oscar out of it, if I get some kind of kudos out of this, wonderful. But it's a courtroom movie in the 90s. I am guaranteed a high dollar paycheck for this.
Right.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Well, I want to do, as I've tried to do in the past, I want to do where I try to pair this up with another one if we were going to have a double feature here, and I want to get to our 3 questions. Is there anything else about this one that we want to say before we move along? It's a great movie. Having only seen it this one time, it was a great movie. Given the subject matter, I don't know how often I'll go rewatch it.
Yeah, tough rewatch for sure.
Yeah. I'm much more likely to go rewatch The Firm or maybe even like The Pelican Brief, Runaway Jury, something like that. This, I think, just with the subject matter, and that's not a knock on any of the actors or their performances or the directing of the movie or anything like that at all. I think this one would just be a tough one to say, yes, it's totally rewatchable. Yeah, I think the one-time viewing, I got it. It's a really good movie. I really, really enjoyed being able to experience it, but I'm not sure this is a rewatchable one for me.
Yeah, I tend to agree.
I would say if you have some time, read the book.
Okay.
It's definitely worth it. I mean, it's not going to be lighter subject matter.
Sure.
But it really, the book's pretty incredible. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. Yeah, I was trying to decide if I was trying to pair this up with something. This is not necessarily one of those where I want to go like, I'm going to go with something goofy and completely weird, because it doesn't feel like that's what you should do with this movie. Because one of the options would be pair it up with My Cousin Vinny, because then you get like you can play off the, look at the crazy Southern courtroom and Southern lawyers and all that other stuff.
The two Utes.
Yeah. I guarantee in that leather suit, he's going to be sweating more than anybody else is.
Right?
So not that one. That was like one of the first ones that comes to mind. I mean, I think I don't know. I mean, to a certain degree, A Time to Kill feels a little bit like it's still different stories. But A Time to Kill feels a little bit like it's a 90s updating ish and very loosely updating of To Kill a Mockingbird.
Yeah.
So I think that's the one I would pair it with. I think I'd pair it with, I'd pair it with the 1962, To Kill a Mockingbird movie with Gregory Peck, as maybe like a timeline of here's how Hollywood approaches Southern legal dramas and how that evolves over the course of 30 years. I mean, you're looking at, from 1962 to 1996, going from the 60s to what things look like now in the 90s. And that would be maybe a bit of a time capsule, like looking at that as here's the spectrum of where Hollywood has been and where Hollywood is now as we get to the mid 90s. So that's the one I think I'll pair it up with, is To Kill a Mockingbird, if I was going to do a daily double, or do a double feature of this one.
Mm-hmm.
All right. With that,
I've got a question.
No, go for it. Yeah.
Kevin Spacey, the opportunistic lawyer that's really seeing this as a way to kind of advance his, career and playing all the angles and all that kind of thing. He's not really the bad guy in this, but is he kind of like, he's definitely the guy that our main character, our hero, is playing off of against. But is he basically representing the same attitude like that Tommy Lee Jones, the police officer, did when he was chasing Harry Kimball, or I should say the U.S. Marshal, when it's just like, hey, I didn't kill my wife. Yeah, I don't care.
I don't care.
Is that kind of like the same thing? And that's his job as the DA, is not to, you know what I'm saying? So, but I know like the way the movie is set up is you're kind of like, okay, well, he's kind of the, he's the guy we don't want to win.
Yeah.
But is he just basically exhibiting the same attitude that we kind of see Tommy Lee Jones do in The Fugitive?
Maybe. I mean, I think part of the problem I have with Kevin Spacey's character, not his performance. Performance is amazing. I think where I'll push back a little bit on him not being as much of a villain is I do think he's a good counterpoint to Samuel Jackson's character. I mean, Samuel Jackson's character very clearly breaks the law in order to do what he believes is right. He believes he's not going to get any justice unless he breaks the law in this way. Kevin Spacey's character is the law. He is the law.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I'm so happy. I don't have it right next to me to show you. I started 3D printing a Judge Dredd helmet for myself earlier.
Excellent.
It's coming out nicely. He is the law, and yet you look at Samuel Jackson's character and what he did, and you're supposed to look at him and go, I am sympathetic to that. Because what if I was in the same situation? What would I do? Then you look at Kevin Spacey's character, and immediately, like one of the first moments we meet him, he's like, all right, well, if we're going to win this case, we need to find out, what is that old drunk drink? Like, let's get him well stocked with his favorite alcohol so that we can keep him good and drunk and on the sidelines. And let's look for dirt on this. And let's look on the... And so I do think that he does come across, especially when you compare him to what Samuel Jackson's character did, he does come across as villainous because he himself is breaking the law. He's, in no way should you ever like send a gift of alcohol to, some opposing person to get them drunk so that, they don't get involved in your court case. So I think in that way, he's enough of a villain for this movie. If we don't have another villain other than the Klan, I think in his own way, he is the maybe the moral counterpoint to Samuel Jackson, and where nobody,
he's not pursuing what he perceives to be the law and justice in a Javert type way.
Right.
He's pursuing the win at any means necessary.
Yes.
He's kind of like Machiavellian to win, not trying to support or uphold his perception, however misguided, of the law.
Absolutely. That was much more eloquent than the way I said it.
I don't think so. I think I just used more words. That's not.
You used.
I hear what you're saying.
You used better words. You didn't use more words. You used better words than I did.
But I hear what you're saying, and that is a good point. And again, I hate to keep saying this, but I got to reread it. But I feel like the book just they have chapters where they interrogate this stuff, and just breaks it down, and you really, you see all the thought processes and again, I don't want to do the spoilers or this might be too much on the nose, but the premeditation, right? It's, this is what I'm going to do.
Right.
And this is why. And
yeah.
Incredible story. I can't recommend the book enough.
Okay. All right. I'll add it to the list.
In fact, as soon as I get through this stack of 29 and a half books on my nightstand that I've got to read, I'm putting this one right back at the top, of the list.
Your stack of books is about the same as my stack of books. I'm like looking at that every time I go to the bookstore. I'm like, don't buy another one.
Yeah.
You cannot buy another one because you have not gotten through the 24 that are sitting there waiting for you to read them.
And the problem is I go to the bookstore and I find the used books and I start hearing, remember that animal TV or television commercial? And who was it? Was it Sally Struthers that would stick with the quavering voice talking about the poor animals?
Yes. When you've got like the Sarah McLachlan is playing and.
Yeah. That's what happens when I see the books. I hear that song and it's just, look at these books. They're homeless.
In the arms of the angels.
I'm going to give them love. I'm going to take this book home. But the problem is I get two pages into it and then all of a sudden it just kind of becomes, a literary version of a stuffed animal. I'm sleeping with the book and that's about it.
Hey now.
But it's a good book. It's a really good book.
For less than the cost of a cup of coffee a day, you can rescue a book from being abandoned on the shelf. Won't you call this number at the bottom of your screen and give a used book another chance? Only you can prevent forest fires. That's a different thing.
Wow.
Yeah. I hear you. And then those little books, they just stare at you and it's like, oh, how can I not take it home?
Yeah.
I got it.
During
I married a librarian. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, I know. During whatever the heck we call our testing now, where the kids get done, and it's actually the one really good thing is when they get done, they can't use any devices, screens, or whatever. So they got to read books or draw, and then interact and play games or whatever the heck. So that's my silver lining. Anyways, the kid, this one student had Jurassic Park.
Oh,
and I was like, oh, Jurassic Park. Yeah. Have you seen the movie? Yeah, a whole bunch. Have you read the book? Nope, just the first time. Did someone recommend it to you? No, I just saw it. And I'm like, I should check this out. And then it took every bit of self-control to go, what do you think? Do you like it? Where are you at? What happened? What changes? Have you noticed any differences? What differences have you noticed? Do you like the portrayal of John Hammond in the book / John Hammond in the movie? What do you think about Alan Grant? What do you think about page 2? Can you believe? And I'm just like, okay, I really have to leave this kid alone. I'm going to go back to my desk. I'm going to drink my drink. I'm going to leave the kid alone. But he was reading through Jurassic Park and he's just like, yeah, this is really interesting. Huh? Yeah. So it was fun. Fun bit of business.
Yeah. Pat has, when Pat sees a child with a book, all of a sudden there's a restraining order waiting to happen.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
But wait, I want to talk to you about Lost World.
Yeah. Yeah. What's the deal?
All right.
I'm always referencing not Lost World. What what's the one with that everybody? Oh, Lord of the Flies.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
I always reference that one, and then like 2 kids get it.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, you know. And then I just look at the reading. None of you have read Lot? No. I said, well, I know only 72% of you can actually read, but I mean, still, that's no reason to ignore the class. Come on, Mr. Steele. All right, let's bring the podcast back on the rails. I'll be quiet.
Sometimes to get them to stop talking, maybe I should just put a conch shell in my room.
There you go.
Put someone's head on a lance.
I was going to say, if you guys don't stop right now, one of you, I'm having the computer randomly pick a name. You get to be Piggy for the day.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, at this point, the defense rests, and I think it's time for a cross-examination of 3 questions.
He asks each traveler 5 questions. 3 questions. 3 questions.
It's impossible to answer.
Impossible because you don't know the answer.
Nobody could answer that question.
I want to ask you a bunch of questions. I want to have them answered immediately.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
All right. Our 3 questions this time around. We'll start with question number 1. Best looking courtroom in a TV show or movie. What is your favorite courtroom? So we've talked about judges. We've talked about, we're going to talk about lawyers here in just a moment. But the courtroom itself, the setting of the courtroom. What is your favorite courtroom in a movie or TV show?
What do you got, Bo?
Well, I mean,
yep, I know. Got to say it.
Night court.
There you go.
I mean, it's not the cleanest or the prettiest, but it looks and feels real.
Mm-hmm.
I struggled with this one.
And I understood the genesis of the question because, I mean, this courtroom is expansive and gorgeous. They've got a fancy floor and all that. Hard not to think of A Few Good Men.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a little more classic. Wood everywhere.
Yeah.
I enjoy the courtroom between the upper gallery and the everything else. We've already mentioned To Kill a Mockingbird. In the 1962 movie, I like that courtroom.
It is cool with the upper gallery for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I got to go with that one.
I don't know. I don't know that I can add much to this because I've never considered courtrooms before.
Mm-hmm.
So I might just have to go completely outside the box and say the one on Kronos from Star Trek 6, The Undiscovered Country.
Oh, there you go.
How about it? There you go.
I'd buy that.
Yes.
I'd buy that for a gold press latinum.
Yeah.
They're all sitting there with those like, I thought they were the pain sticks, but they're not. But I want them to be the pain sticks. You know, they're all sitting there and
sure.
You know, they're all yelling. I don't know. That place looked pretty cool.
The one in My Cousin Vinny feels pretty good.
Yeah.
And then there's, gosh, we could talk about the Star Trek courtrooms.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Along similar lines, question number 2. Who is the best Southern lawyer in a movie or TV show?
Oh, wow.
When I had to write this down, I'm going to have to consult the list. So I knew I was going to.
And best does not necessarily mean sweatiest, but it could.
Yeah. Elliot Ness, Kevin Costner in The Untouchables.
Mm-hmm. I did see a funny picture somewhere, and it was when I Googled Southern lawyer in a movie, and it was an image that said the Southern lawyer in a movie starter pack.
Oh no!
And it was I think it was like a seersucker suit, a sweaty forehead, a glass of scotch, and suspenders. And that's basically what you need to get started.
You know what? I know what I was gonna. I was gonna say Atticus Finch.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Yeah, I'd have to say. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of anybody other than Atticus Finch that would be the best Southern lawyer, but
I mean,
yeah, I mean, because some of the ones I'm trying to think of like Southern lawyer characters in movies, and so many of the ones I'm thinking about, like Sam Waterston's character in Law and Order, but I'm like, I think sometimes he just might sound a little Southern, but he's not.
Yeah, he's pretty New York.
He's New York, yeah. Or I want to say, as part of his backstory, his father was from Chicago.
Okay,
I think. There are times where he sounds, a little bit Southern, but not so much necessarily. So yeah, part of me is like, and I can't choose My Cousin Vinny because he's not
Mr. Gambini.
Right. He's from New York. He's not from the South. You could go Matlock, I guess.
Yeah.
Matlock would be a good Southern lawyer. I think it's just really tough to beat Atticus Finch.
Yeah.
Like in terms of thinking about the archetype of the Southern lawyer, I think it's really, really tough to be. That's one of my favorite movies, one of my favorite characters. I think it's really, really tough to beat that one. So I might have to daily double it.
Mm-hmm.
I do enjoy the character. Now, I don't know that I would say he's the best lawyer or even the one I would want to choose for my side, but Lane Smith's attorney in My Cousin Vinny, like the opposing lawyer, the lawyer for the prosecution, like he's a lot of fun. His character's a lot of fun.
Definitely in that Southern lawyer archetype.
Mm-hmm.
You can't answer because nobody can answer that question.
Because no self-respecting Southerner would ever have instant grits. All right. One final question. What dish are you bringing to a cookout?
Oh.
This is the obligatory 30-something food podcast question.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you I'm not bringing peach cobbler.
No, that's not the choice I'm going with.
I'd make some kind of a summer salad or something.
Mm-hmm.
My big thing in this house is the caprese pasta salad.
Mm-hmm.
And he's usually like the what is it? I'm going to totally mispronounce it. Is it farfalle? I'm part Italian. I should be able to pronounce the bloody thing.
Farfalle?
But it's the bow tie. Farfalle. Mm-hmm. And the bow tie pasta. And then it's just mozzarella, fresh mozzarella and tomatoes, like an oil, salt, pepper. And my daughter absolutely loves it. caprese is like her jam. So, I mean, she would eat the whole bowl of pasta, and my mom would make that all the time. And so that was good. And then, the name is a bit of an explanation, but like my mom found this idea for like a summer salad, and it was a really flexible recipe. Basically, beans, you can pick the beans you want. A grain, can pick the grain you want, whether that's like rice or quinoa or, some kind of grain. And then basically just chopped up vegetables and like a vinegar type salad dressing. And it's really everything else. It's kind of like you do it how you want. And I think she found the recipe, and then it was like, oh, but I'm going to alter this. So every time we get together, it would be kind of a slightly altered salad. And that's, you could put vegetables, anything you want in there. So what she ended up calling it was the bunko salad. Now, the reason it got called the bunko salad is because my mom, bless her, tried to get like, hey, we should get games going in the house again. We tried to like, Mom, no, we don't do, our family, we just don't do well with games. And it was like, no, we're going to fire this up. This is going to be a fun game, da-da-da-da-da. And so it was a game called bunko. I don't know if you guys have heard of bunko.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I still don't know how to play bunko, but neither did my mom. And my mom was trying to explain the rules to us, but I don't think she had the full grasp of them either. So every time, I guess there's a little bit of, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding, having been told, there's a little bit of flexibility in how you play the game.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it's like, oh, well, here are the 10 different options for rules, or if it's like, here are the rules, but some rules can be bent, some rules can, like, I honestly don't know. Because when it was presented, we kind of got I don't know if it was a deck of cards or the dice or whatever, or both. It kind of got put out, and my mom's like, okay, so just play. And we'd be like, well, what do we do? Oh, no, it's just anything you want. Well, I'm sure there's probably some more rules than that, Mom. Is it just, no, it's just, you got to make it up. And I'm like, well, I don't really want to make up a game. And so like, her big thing, she goes, oh, kids. But it was like the big, like, we're all going to do the family game night was just kind of like just play it, whatever. Mm-hmm. There's no rules, make up your own. So that became known as a bunko. And then when we make the salad, hey, don't follow the recipe, just kind of, make up whatever you want, a grain, bean, vegetables. So hence the bunko salad.
Nice.
So I would be bringing those.
I do have family that I've never played it. I do have family that plays bunko. And my understanding is that there would be no math. My understanding is that some people can be very particular about the rules that are played, but when you play, like, for example, the relative that plays bunko, I think they do a rotation at different people's houses.
Mm-hmm.
And some houses, they use slightly different rules, and that's met with some amount of resistance.
Okay.
So, I can see that.
Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know if people get territorial. Again, having not played it, there's a regular, like, this happens at least monthly, if not every couple weeks or so. And it sounds like maybe there is some territoriality when it comes to the rules. And when it's at my house, this is how we play it. And when it's at this house, they do it the wrong way, and, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So as I understand it, there are rules, but again, never having played,
like I said, my mom just put here, kids, just play. And it was like, just make up the rules. And it was like, no, this is that. So we ended up having a really good laugh over it. But at some point I want to try bunko.
Yeah.
At least one of the however many versions.
Yeah.
But that's where the origin of the name bunko salad is where that came from.
Okay. Nice. I think coming to the cookout, I'm going to keep it pretty simple, but I'm going to keep it with something that, like, I don't think you can have a cookout without some variation of this. But and I don't really care. Like, I'm looking at pictures of it right now, and I'm going, they're all so beautiful. Why can't I just have 3 heads? I'm looking at many pictures of the different ways to prepare corn on the cob.
Oh yeah.
And like a grilled corn on the cob. And I'm looking at some on here that have like some type of like garlic butter on them, or I'm looking at some that have, Cajun butter corn on the cob, some that have like hot honey corn on the cob. There's like a million different options here. And I'm looking at them going, okay, yes.
Have some.
You got the Mexican street corn on the cob recipe. You've got the
Oh yeah.
It's I'm looking at this and I'm just going.
Do you like me some street corn?
And I think that's pretty standard. But I think corn on the cob is something that's hard to mess up.
Yes.
Like, I think you can bring the corn on the cob to just about any cookout. Now, I would do the corn on the cob. The one thing I would also enjoy having brought to a cookout, but it's not me that's going to be making it because I've never made it before, and I feel like that I would mess up, is the other thing that feels very, and maybe it's from having grown up in Texas, the other thing that feels very cookout-ish to me is if somebody who is much better at making them than I am, which would be anybody, brings some really good tamales.
Oh yes.
So, I don't know, bring corn on the cob, bring tamales, whatever you want to do. I'll bring the corn on the cob. Somebody else can bring the tamales. But that, to me, other than whatever you're going to have as your main dish at the cookout, like that's just absolutely fine with me. In fact, I could just be very happy to enjoy those as well.
Right.
Oh. Bo, what are you bringing to the cookout?
Yeah, I'm simple. I'll bring a potato salad.
Oof. Yeah, there you go.
It'll be a good potato salad.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't know that I've ever met a bad potato salad.
Maybe not a bad potato salad, but there are potato salads that I like more than others.
Oh, absolutely. Of all the ones I've ever met, I wouldn't kick them out of the kitchen.
Well, yeah, there's that. I mean, come on, let's not be hasty here.
No, let's not be hasty. Let's be tasty.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah. This is all wonderful, and now I just want to eat.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's true most days.
That is also true. That's if nothing else, I know that we are the 30-something podcast, the lack of happening, but I do feel like we are also really good at making ourselves and other people hungry.
Agreed.
So if one thing happens, we're encouraging eating.
I see.
And I don't think that's a bad thing. As to paraphrase Pat, more food, more better.
Yeah.
There we go.
That's the motto of we say that for the movies, but that's the motto of the subset podcast that is the 30-something food podcast, is more food, more better.
Indeed, sir.
I like everything about this. I love this plan. I'm excited to be a part of it.
Exactly.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for A Time to Kill. This month has been our May pre-prequel parts month for the actors that appeared in these movies just ahead of when they would have appeared in Star Wars Episode 1 and the prequels. This month, our Patreon was Mandalorian and Grogu from this year. Then we did, in the regular feed, Train Spotting with Ewan McGregor, Mars Attacks with Natalie Portman, Jingle All the Way with Jake Lloyd, and A Time to Kill with Samuel L. Jackson. Next month is June. By the time we get around to this month, school will have ended. We will be out for the summer. And so we have got, as it seems appropriate with the month of June, it's road trip month. So we're going to do a series of movies related to the idea of road trips. And so not necessarily a road trip, but features a car. Our Patreon episode for this month will be Taxi Driver from 1976, hitting its 50th anniversary. Our Patreon short. So I'm planning on seeing both of these, but I'll do a Patreon short on both of them then. But the Patreon short is either probably going to be a short episode on Masters of the Universe or Supergirl. So I will see both. It depends on which one's going to get thrown in here for the month of June, but that'll be the Patreon short, the little 15 or so minute episode. And then the rest of our movies for June are movies that feature the idea of a road trip. And so we've got Bottle Rocket, we've got Black Sheep, we've got Get on the Bus, and we've got Beavis and Butthead Do America. So it's going to be a lot of fun stuff in the month of June. And I was also going to give folks a heads up. We may be having some guests join us for some of these episodes. I put the word out to some of our fellow podcasters that we've done some stuff with before, or we know from around the interwebs, and said, hey, I would love to have some folks join us, maybe a little bit this summer, and jump on for any episodes that might pique your interest. And so we might have some special guests coming on, maybe little crossovers with some other podcasts here and there. So looking forward to that. I feel like we might have one coming up with Beavis and Butthead Do America, but we gotta nail down the details for that first. But it's right now it's practically a roller coaster of love and emotion, trying to get all that figured out. Roller coaster of love. Yeah. I feel like I saw that movie in the same theater. I don't think it was at the same time, but I feel like I saw that movie around about the same time that I saw The Craft. Those were two of the bigger movies that I remember from 1996 in the movie theater that no longer exists. Now is a PGA golf store.
Yeah.
Yeah. There used to be a lovely little movie theater on the hill up there, and now it had been a Babies R Us for a while, and it was a PGA golf store, and Beavis and Butthead Do America. I can't even believe we're at that point.
I know.
That's not one of the movies that I would have been like, hey, what are you excited for? In 4 years, Beavis and Butthead Do America. It's not quite that level. I'm just feeling like, oh, we're in the Beavis and Butthead era.
It is going to be an interesting trip down memory lane, is it not?
Yeah. All right. Well, Patrick, Botrick, it has been lovely to have you with me here.
John Trick, thanks for having us.
Anytime. All right. Everybody, be excellent to each other. Go watch some good movies. And we're going to see you back here next week as we start our road trip with Bottle Rocket. We'll see you back here next week.